By the end of the concert, there were 15,000 zombie-like drug freaks stoned out of their minds, on their feet, dancing in one mad psychosexual drug freak orgy. What about the rock entertainers who take dope? Let's face it, some of these guys are idolized by millions of young people, especially some of the impressionable younger teens. They use dope, they get up at their concerts, they'll brag about what a groovy thing it is to play while you're high, talk casually, tell the audience all to get stoned. Then when they do get busted, they thumb their nose at the police, and of course the underground press and the rock magazines hold them up to be a martyr and some kind of a countercultural hero. If I walked out here this morning and said one word against Rolling Stones, Stewart and the Faces, Grand Funk, Black Sabbath, Santana, maybe even Alice Cooper, there probably would be some of you who'd want to come up here and tear me from limb to limb. And in the song Dead Flowers, Mick Jagger sings, "I'll be in my basement room with a needle and a spoon." And the minute Jagger hit that stage singing Brown Sugar Man, in went the hands into the jeans and out came the little plastic bag with you know what in every color. And it was like passing the offering plate on Sunday morning. I mean, one guy takes it here, passes it to the next guy, and you the next guy, and on down, then it goes around the corner of the aisle, and up that aisle, on up the next aisle. About 3 years ago, the Doors were down in Miami, Florida. 14,000 kids showed up for a concert, average age 12, 13, 14.
You're all a bunch of fucking idiots! None of you left with your face stuck in the shit!
Middle of the concert, Jim Morrison took off his clothes and with other males engaged in forms of sex perversion on stage.
Hey, how about 50 or 60 of you people come up here and love my ass?
One of the last songs Morrison ever performed was a song that he wrote. The last line he screamed to the rafters,
Hey, suck me, baby. Every music and melody I love.
Chucks didn't say you were innocent.
Innocent? You're so white and pure?
Chucks didn't say you were innocent.
Are you innocent?
Innocent of what?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
None of us are innocent.
Yeah, just because you're convicted in a courtroom doesn't mean you're guilty of something.
What does mean you're guilty?
When you know you're guilty.
And how do you feel about yourself? Tell me about you.
I feel pretty good. Innocent? I went down to Haight-Ashbury, and a little kid 10 years old come up and said, "You want an acid pill?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "This is good. Make colors go." I said, "No, I heard about them things. I don't want none of that." That's the reason I like the desert. I smoked a little grass, and I've taken some acid, mescaline, psilocybin, peyote, mushroom. Yeah, I used to love that desert. Innocent? You're so white and pure? You're so white and pure? Yeah, I used to love that desert.
The kind of music you play scares people.
But we used to have some cosmic gatherings back in the mountains that would probably shake a Mormon tabernacle choirs.
Why shouldn't people be scared by you?
There's only one person you can be scared of, and that's yourself. Afraid of what? Losing your bank account? Afraid of your wife going away?
Well, how many children do you have, Charles?
How many children do I have? I don't know. I have lots of children, man.
Look in that camera. What do you say to that kid? What do you say to your son out there watching his old man on television? With his face all carved up and his eyes glowering, you talk to that kid. What are you going to say to him?
Well, we're all our own prisoners. We each are our own wardens, and we do our own time. We used to get stuck in our own little trips, and we kind of judge ourselves the way we do. Innocent.
You scared to die?
Sometimes I feel I'm scared to live.
The mushroom. Could any symbol be more appropriate of the ambiguity of human transformation? It is the people who are far out who are gaining advantage in the evolutionary jostling for efficacious strategies. A great dream of mine and of my brothers as well was that the mushroom must somehow be made accessible. The immediate future of man lies in the imagination, and in seeking the dimension where the imagination can be expressed. The present cultural crisis on the surface of the planet is caused by the fact that this is not a fitting theater for the exercise of imagination. It wrecks the planet. The planet has its own ecosystemic dynamics, which are not the dynamics of imagination. In space, the modalities of imagination will be the limiting cases of what man can be done. So I see man becoming an artist and an engineer, flowing into our ideas, perhaps more than we dare even now suspect. In other words, a possible end state of that kind of technical evolution would be the interiorization of the body and the exteriorization of the soul. The only evil that associates itself with mushrooms is taking it but taking too little. And I am amazed at the number of people who claim familiarity with psychedelic drugs. Even if they've taken it 50 or 100 times, they have managed through low doses and strong defenses to always keep the demon at bay, and they don't know what they're talking about. When you are out in the billows, as I call it, because it seems to come in waves, when you're out in the billows, you know that the entire enterprise hangs in the balance. Those parts of your control board which are normally masked from you are suddenly unmasked, and the buttons are there for you to manipulate to the degree that you understand them. There is an element of risk. What mushroom is it that grows at the end of history? Is it Stropharia cubensis, or is it the creation of Edward Teller?
We speak about the paradise of childhood. When I have the vision and a beautiful experience as a child, it is no wonder, because we have these compounds already in our brain. I think there's a possibility to have a psychedelic experience is inborn. These psychedelics, very similar compounds, are in our brain. And also compounds which you find in the plant kingdom. All these psychedelics are so closely related chemically to these brain factors which we already have. So smoking and beautiful May morning, suddenly, and I had the feeling everything had changed. The mood was beautiful, 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 real, and I had the feeling that I saw now the mood as it really is. And I had the feeling I would be included by it. That's a feeling of happiness I had never had before. Gave me the security that if you have open eyes, you may see the world in a different way. You see it as it really is. Wonderful. After some hours, I came back. I came back for a quite foreign existence to new life. I saw how wonderful our earth is. I felt a newborn, and the next day when I went in the garden, the world was new. The world was new. Under LSD, you see things which are transformed. It is a different view, a different experience of our existence. To new life. To new life. It's very important that one is prepared for the use of psychedelics. It is not just fun, it is a very serious experiment. You see it as it really is. Wonderful.
That was really chicken.
Twilight's last gleamings. This gentleman is a death dwarf, as you can see, manipulated by remote control. The dwarf takes out a hypo from a silver case.
That was really chicken. Small habit.
Last Twilight's gleamings.
It's more like a psychological addiction. I know this one person who's a really heavy junkie, 30 to 40 back. I
see him and I get really sick. It revolts me because it's just so disgusting. It's so mechanical. He doesn't have any joy anymore in getting off. It's like a mechanical thing. Sticks the needle in and gets off. You know, and then 10 minutes later he'll take another shot. And it's mechanical.
They all hate each other, and they're very sort of venomous towards each other, like queens. They're always talking about, oh, that one.
Yeah, one drug addict really put it beautifully. He said, heroin is love, you know, heroin is, it loves me. I know she'd been reading Burroughs before that or something, but...
junkies have no interest in sex, and they have no interest in other people except as suppliers of junk.
And then it becomes a very hard thing to get out of because it becomes a complete lifestyle. It's not a part-time job. It's a 24-hour type of existence.
Like an all-encompassing, glowing womb, you know?
Well,
it's like coming all over.
At first it's just that feeling, and then it becomes something else altogether. If you could imagine everything inside your body being little arrows, what you do when you take heroin physically to your body is it reverses those arrows.
Silver arrows. Silver arrows.
If you try to give up dope, or if you're really into it and you just can't score any or something, those arrows start that trip back to where they were before you started, facing in the right direction. And it's painful as they rip through your body.
Silver arrow through the night. Silver arrow takes thy flight.
A small habit. It's like a psychological addiction.
Twilight Queen takes out a last gleaming hypo, dwarf from a silver. Extra voice, how do I get it? Scout out. Scout out.
My name is Norval Hayes, a Christian businessman from Cleveland, Tennessee. You are about to hear the true story of Jack Brown.
This story of mine all begins in the late 30s when I was apprehended by the sheriff after becoming addicted to narcotics. And of course, Leavenworth is one of the great old federal penitentiaries situated right outside of Kansas City. But then when I looked around, I saw Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, Harvey Bailey, Jack Brown, Blackie Bates. I was transferred with Red Allen from there to the great U.S. Public Health Service Hospital, where I shot 50 grains of narcotics a day in research. There were some more members of the animal kingdom, the chimpanzees. They were addicted too, and they were shooting dope right along with the rest of us. And I remember that they would behave a whole lot like we did while they were under the influence of narcotics. Many of them died when they were kicking their habit. And those that didn't die, they tell me, never did go back to using drugs, which proves one thing for sure, that they had more sense than Jack Brown. Because I was using drugs again before I reached home, and I walked into the living room of my darling wife that I'd married in 1929, and when she saw me, she knew immediately that I had reverted to the use of drugs again. I didn't stay around Fort Worth very long because it was extremely uncomfortable for me there. The police would literally scoop down on me. And went out with some con men and started hustling again up in the state of Oklahoma. And we went into McAllister with this long 10-year sentence. Now, with a chip on each shoulder. And, of course, McAllister Prison is a bad place to carry a chip on your shoulder. I saw men around me commit suicide. I saw men around me go insane. I saw men around me commit suicide. I saw men around me go insane. So, finally, I was released from there. Went home with my wife. Only to run again from the sheriff. And they arrested me and hauled me into court. And they sentenced me to San Quentin Prison for 14 years. I know they'll catch me sometime, and when they catch me, they'll put me back in prison. But they've been doing that for years anyway, because I have long since been pronounced incurable by the very best authority in the country. The pattern was set, the die was cast. Jack Brown was forever a drug addict, a confirmed thief, a criminal.
Those who have crossed with direct eyes and the deaths of the kingdom remember us, if at all. distance between the essence and the descent from the shadow. Life is very long. Life is very long.
Yahe, or ayahuasca.
Wake up your mind. Wake up, wake up, wake up your mind. Wake up, wake up, wake up your mind.
The brew of Banisteriopsis coffee with DMT admixture. It is the commonest and the most widely distributed of the naturally occurring hallucinogens and is the basis, when not the entire component, of most aboriginally used hallucinogens in tropical South America. The hallucinogenic experience which it triggers lasts 3 to 7 minutes and is unambiguously intense. It is so bizarre and intense that even the most devoted aficionados of hallucinogens will usually pass it by. Yet, South American shamans, by predisposing themselves, do seek the same levels of reality-obliterating intensity achievable with pure DMT. Its strangeness and power so exceeds that of other hallucinogens that DMT seemed finally to define, for myself and my friends at any rate, the maximum exfoliation of the hallucinogenic dimension. To abandon our studies, to pay our own way to the Amazon, to see if the titanically strange dimensions that we had encountered in DMT trance were even more accessible via the DMT drugs which the shamans of the Amazon had developed. Ukuhe is made from the resin of certain trees of the Myristicaceous genus Varroa. The Witoto tribe, who alone knew the secret of making it, used it to talk to little men and to gain knowledge from them.
Wake up, wake up, wake up your minds. Wake up, wake up, wake up your minds.
The maximum exfoliation of the hallucinogenic dimension.
Wake up, wake up your minds.
The impression of bursting into a space.
Wake up, wake up, wake up your minds.
Inhabited by merry, elf-like, self-transforming machine creatures. The people take Yahe, and they and other people who have taken Yahe, but no one else, can see a violet fluid, and it bubbles and is like a liquid. The Hivaro do much of their magic with this peculiar stuff. They spread it out on the ground and see other times and other places. It is made out of space-time, or it is made out of mind, or it is pure hallucination objectively expressed.
Very, very powerful psychoactive substance.
The psychedelics opened my mind to whole new spaces of myself and the universe.
One day we got a large box full of ampules and it was LSD. And this was a very fascinating substance.
For myself, these experiences have been most strange, most awesome, and in their own way, amongst the most beautiful in my life.
Discovered practically by accident. Dr. Hoffman likes to call it serendipity.
Working with LSD, you have to start with yourself. To put yourself forward as knowing something about LSD until you'd taken it was almost criminal.
I remember that afternoon
Not as so many minutes spent in my drawing room interrupted by these strange excursions in time, but as years and years of heavenly bliss interrupted by short periods in my drawing room.
There were places where they tied people in bed to give them LSD. That came about because the early research was done by the American Army. They wanted to use it as a weapon. It backfired on the Americans. They found out that when they gave it to the soldiers, first thing the soldiers wanted to do was quit the army.
Here I am way up on the ceiling, looking at you with my third eye. Here I am way up on the ceiling, looking at you with my third eye.
A good LSD experience, as you resolve your inner conflicts and the loads and the barriers that are developed, and you begin to reach down into the depths of your own being, you see more and more levels of being, more and more levels of understanding.
I put myself through more than 15 experiments using everything from Odoluqui to Adrenaleukin.
I think it would be extremely good for almost anybody with fixed ideas to take this thing and to realize that the world he has constructed is by no means the only world, that there are these extraordinary other types of universe.
You can dismiss it as a dreamlike hallucination which lasted a fraction of a second, owing to the disintegration of my ego and so on. Or you can say with me, it was a real experience which happened outside time.
Everything was brilliantly sharp and significant.
In here we can be anything we want to be.
This is the future, and you're afraid of it.
You would like to be smarter, wouldn't you? You would like to be smarter, wouldn't you?
Change brainwave parameters.
Brainwave pattern altered.
Change brainwave parameters.
Brainwave pattern altered.
My mind is blazing. It's filling with information. 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 My mind is blazing. It's filling with...
Most functions of the brain are simply lying dormant, waiting to be awakened. Too fast. That's why you stopped the drug treatments. This will be the best ride of your life. In here we can be anything we want to be. I'll see you on the inside.
This is also new.
Nothing we've been doing is new. We haven't been tapping into new areas of the brain. We've just been awakening the most ancient. This technology is simply a route to powers that conjurers and alchemists used centuries ago. Human race lost that knowledge and now I'm reclaiming it. I gave myself a boost, Doctor. It's a whole other world, a new electric dimension. This technology has peeled back a layer to reveal another universe. Pure energy. Once I've entered the neural net, my birth cry will be the sound of every phone on this planet ringing in unison.
Access denied.
By the year 2001, there won't be a person on this planet who isn't hooked into it.
Access
This technology is meant to expand human communication.
Access denied. Access denied. Maintenance line. Access granted. This is the future. And you're afraid of it.
Yeah, well, it may be the future to you, Larry, but it's the same old shit to me.
When the geese fly over the water, the geese do not intend to cast their reflection, and the water has no mind to retain their image. I find invariably, whenever I talk about these things, Americans raise moral issues because we are a people incredibly bamboozled by preachers. It's like a situation in which we are all floating in a tremendous river, and the river carries you along. Now, some of the people in the river are swimming against it, but they're still being carried along. Others have learned that the art of the thing is to swim with it. Suddenly, he acquires behind everything that he does the power of the river. The person swimming against the river does not, by his action, express the force of the river. Everything that you are experiencing in the external visual field is a state of your brain. All these colors and shapes are the way in which the brain nerves translate the electrical impulses in the external world. Because my eye has no color, it is able to discern color. Being absent as a condition of being present. There is no difference between you as observer and whatever it is that you observe. The only thing that is you is the observation of life from a certain point of view. I let my ears hear whatever they wanted to hear. I let my eyes see whatever they wanted to see. I let my feet move wherever they wanted to go. I let my mind think whatever it wanted to think. And I didn't know whether I was walking on the wind or the wind was walking on me. Instead of being a collision between two wandering bodies in space, knowledge is much more like the expansion of a flower from the stem and the bud, where the opposite points of the flower are the mirror and the mirror. And when you know that, you know you never die.